Hello and welcome to lecture number 4 in the second IHF live online symposium. My name is Courtney Gahan and I am your moderator for this session today. If you are watching on Zoom, we have 3 translation languages available for you today: French, Spanish and Arabic. And you can find these at the bottom of your screen by clicking the globe icon marked interpretation and selecting the label for your language. If you are watching on Facebook right now, please check the comments where one of our team is going to share the link to this Zoom webinar so you can use the translation options if you would like. This second IHF live online symposium is part of the IHF Education Centre, which you can access at ihfeducation.ihf.info. Within that, this symposium is part of the Virtual Academy, which was introduced last year to facilitate global online learning and has seen many courses covering different areas and disciplines in handball so far. This second IHF live online symposium focuses on development trends of the game, consequences on training methods for coaches, and tactical training for referees, and includes a total of 9 live lectures presented by top handball experts from around the world. Today's lecture is brought to us by David Gröger, National Athletics Coach in the German Handball Federation, and focuses on the overarm throw, how to improve throwing velocity and protect the shoulder. This lecture is being recorded, so you will be able to access it for on-demand viewing later. And do feel free to ask questions throughout. In this lecture today, it's divided into chapters, and we are going to stop after chapter 2 to address any questions that have come in. So if you have any questions early on, don't hesitate to send them. So David, we are ready to begin when you are. Welcome.
Thank you very much, Courtney, and hello to the audience. I'm very proud and happy to be here again at the IHF online symposium. I'm gonna share my slides quickly. Second. All right, I hope you all can see my slide now.
Yes,
yes, perfect. Thank you, Courtney. So yeah, we are talking about the overarm or the standing throw, and I like to call it the sniper among the throws because it's truly a weapon. And today we are going to talk about the physical aspects. And yeah, funny story, before this presentation we were talking, so Dietrich Später and me, we were talking about how the tactical aspects changed in the last years because of the physical aspects. This means that the physical aspects have also an impact on how tactics changed. And for me, it's difficult to talk about tactics, so it's more my part to talk about how we can improve the strength and the speed to get a better, sharper, harder throw. And yeah, let's first see the agenda. So we do a very quick introduction, and then we see some impressions of this type of throw. And then we move on to performance and to the kinematics of the standing or the overarm throw. And then we move on to chapter 3. This is the chapter where we going to do a short break, and I will answer questions if there are questions up then. Then we have a look at special exercises for the standing throw. And in chapter 4, we're going to have a look how do we implement these exercises, or how do we design programs in general. And in the last chapter, yeah, I will leave a take-home message and also give you again the opportunity to ask some questions, and I hope I can give you answers. All right, so let's move on to the introduction and to the impressions. So the standing throw, as I like to call it, the sniper. This type of throws showed the greatest ball velocity with the run-up. There is more speed on the ball than with jumping throws. and it's usually made in the central attack sector, and it's executed very quick and therefore very difficult to predict. And I'm gonna show you a picture, I think, Jochen will showed up this picture yesterday. If some of you have joined his presentation, Jochen talked yesterday about line player, and here you can see a very common situation where the line player is shielded by the defense, and every hand on the line player to receive a tactile signal is a missing hand to block throws, and this gives a perfect opportunity to react with a fast and hard standing throw. So this will be a very common situation to execute the standing throw. He's very close to the defense. He don't need a big run up, and he can execute it very quick and hard from this situation if he has the physical capacities to execute it. So then it's also a very technically demanding weapon, and it's high dependent on anthropometics and also on physical capacities like strength and speed. And this will be the main part where we are going to talk about later. We're going to talk about this in more detailed. So before, let's have a look at some nice impressions from the last World Championships of some standing throws. Yes, some really nice shots, especially the one from Holm, flick around his wrist. So we move on to the performance and the kinematics of the throw, of the standing throw. And first, I want to have a look on the loads, because regarding the protection of the shoulder or shoulder injury prevention, we got to know how much loads we have to face by throwing actions. So we have up to 48,000 throws per season. This is what Eduard wrote in his paper, and it's almost a decade old. It's from 2003, and we expect that the number of throws per season is rising up. We have rotational speeds in the shoulder joints that are over 6,000 degrees in a second. This is also an old paper, so we expect it's more now, and therefore when we have these high rotational speeds, we have to face also very high tensile forces, over 950 Newton. This is almost a ton of tensile forces on your shoulder joints. So especially your tendons and your ligaments gotta be really rough, really robust to withstand that. The thing is, if we look on this number here, 48,000 or more throws per season, I think we should ask ourselves if we can optimize the quality of throwing while reduce the quantity, because the most injuries, the most shoulder injuries, are due to overuse. So the fact is, if you have an injured shoulder, it's mostly a long-term injury, and it's very hard to get back to the same level of performance as before. So if we can optimize it, it would be a big impact on the injury risk. This is really injury prevention if we monitor this and optimize it. So KPIs are key performance indicators. So let's see what is an impact on the ball velocity and on the throwing performance. And we see a big part of that are anthropomatics. So that's a fact we unfortunately cannot modify. So we cannot modify the arm length or the hand width, but we can focus on factors that we can modify, and there is as two big factors. We can see the trunk rotation and the arm action, and this is almost a 50-50 relationship. So we see how important will be the stability and the strength in the trunk, in the whole body, especially in the core area. And we also see how important it is that our arm is able to accelerate and also to decelerate. We will see later why it's so important that we can decelerate properly. So let's have a look at the throwing itself. It has different throwing phases, and the first is the run up. Then we have the wind up. We have the early cocking phase. We have the late cocking phase. We have the acceleration, of course, the deceleration, and the so-called follow through phase. Yeah, these are the isolated phases. It's commonly this picture, but yeah, it's nice to see. But in reality, it's rapid whole body movement that is highly variable due to different situations in the game. So I don't know why we should isolate some parts. Let's have a look on the whole movement. So we pick the whole movement, and there are some very important points. The first one is the velocity and the accuracy of the motion is achieved by transferring the energy from the ground through a kinetic chain. I will show you the kinetic chain. At the beginning of the throwing motion, energy is generated through the legs and trunk, and then transferred from the lower body and the trunk to the shoulder, elbow, and to the hand, and carry it on to the ball. So this is the kinetic chain that is involved. So there we see it's not the main part is not the shoulder. The main part will be the whole system. If the whole system is strong enough and works perfectly together, when the efficiency of this sequence of this kinetic chain is working perfectly, then we will reach higher ball velocity. And then this is a nice cofactor. The grip strength has also a big impact on throwing velocity, because if you imagine you speed up by using this kinetic chain, it won't work if you cannot grasp the ball hard enough. And also the power of the forearms have a big impact when you spin the ball or when you just do a very short movement. So this is really a key point where we have focus on. So, and then as I mentioned before, also main factor is that when we decelerate or when we have the follow through phase, you have to keep in mind that the body will never accelerate the arm faster than it can slow it down. It means if we want to speed up, we need good brakes, in other words. So otherwise the body will protect us and doesn't unfold the full potential. So focus here on eccentric training to enhance and to protect the shoulder. Here is the point where the highest tensile forces occur to the shoulder. So if we don't have strong antagonists, if we don't have the decelerating muscles, if they're not strong enough, you will sooner or later will have a overuse injury here in the shoulder. So this is a really important thing that you should keep in mind when you're designing strength programs. I have to apologize when I have to cough. Got a little cold. So we move on now to performance. And yeah, when we thinking about training, so we're thinking about what can we do to get better with throwing. So the best way to get better in throwing is, of course, to throw. Sounds very simple, but it's the fact, you know, the throw is highly specific, especially the standing throw, the overarm throw. There is a specific motoric program in your brain for that. And it's not replaceable by any exercise. So we cannot, it's not just because an exercise look like a throw, doesn't mean that there is also a transfer to it. On the contrary, it's more like the closer we get to a specific movement, the greater can be the interference. So throwing with dumbbells or throwing on a throwing movement on a cable machine won't be the best idea to improve throwing ability or the speed or the power in a throw. Therefore, we should focus more on improving the conditions for a good throw. That means we should add more power to the whole system. Yeah. And then this leads us to some principles. And when we're designing plans and when we're thinking about how we can improve our strength, especially for throwing, it's in the beginning, it's very simple. First things first, of course, build a solid basic strength, because in the throwing movement, the whole body has a big part. You saw it before, 50% trunk, 50% arm action. So if you have a really solid basic strength, you will transfer it to the throwing action, to the throwing motion. So on second, again, build a solid basic strength. It's very important. I can't say it often enough. So, and then, of course, we add then specific power and speed exercises for the standing throw. And if we put this together and we have more power in our system, in our body, and then especially with the specific power and speed exercises also in the upper extremities and in the arm, then we transfer it to the court. So this is the place where the throwing is happening. Everything before that is more working to this specific movement. Building a good condition for unleashing the power for this type of throw. So I see I'm very quick. We now are hitting the third chapter, and I said to Courtney that I will give you the opportunity to ask questions on this now. So please ask questions when you have some.
We haven't received any yet, but we can wait a minute to see if anyone has one. If you need to cough a bit.
All right.
Yeah.
If we don't receive any questions until now, that's no problem. I will wait for it until the end.
We just got one. Should we address one?
All right.
Well, oh no, actually, this is a bit more technical. Yeah, sorry, no, I think this is a bit more.
I know it's about the presentation itself, so it's not about the throw.
No.
Well, no problem. Don't worry. I wait until the end. In the end of the presentation, we will also have a part where the audience can ask something.
Okay.
And maybe after presentation of the exercises, there will be more questions.
Yes.
This first part is more about what's about the throw, what are the kinematics, the performance, the key performance indicators. And I think the more interesting part will follow now, but I will take 5 minutes rest if that's okay. Courtney, we spoke about that before, and then I will move through the next chapters.
Okay.
All right, so for the audience, 5 minutes to get a coffee or to think about asking questions.
Yeah, just in line with that, I'll just add for everybody that the questions should really be focused more on the training and the strength, and so on, not so much handball tactic questions about shooting.
Yeah.
So.
Back again in 5 minutes. Okay, let's get back to business. So, Courtney, is that okay for you when I answer some questions? I see in the chat there are some questions from the audience.
Yeah, there are a few. Sorry, I've just been collecting them all. Yes, sorry, do you want to read them yourself, or I can tell you some?
Yeah, I think I start with one interesting question, because there were more than one persons asking this in the same direction. It's about when to start with weight training, what age is the focus for developing such a skill. Especially about weight training and special weight training, I can say that there is no special age, or you don't have you cannot be too young to start with weight training. So this will be the main thing I want to say. If you design proper plans for kids, you can even start at the age of 10, 11 or 12 years, but this should be a very general strength training regime. You don't should focus on specializing on one special strength. You don't should specialize on speed strength, for example, or you don't should specialize on reactive strength. You first should build a good basic, a good fundamental, and then move on. And if you get stronger, if you have kids that get stronger, you will see they also will be better by performing throws, and um, when to start with such special throws. I cannot answer on this. This is maybe in some in some countries different. This is a question for our handball trainers that I cannot answer as an S&C coach. But there's also the question: is mean weight training good enough for getting better in throwing? Yes, it is, of course, and I will highlight this in the next slides, of course. We'll have a look at more questions. Yeah, there are some questions here that are too detailed to answer them now. So questions on wing players, which are special exercises for that. I'm sorry, but I cannot answer on this now. Thank you for the great for you. Thank you very much. Yeah. All right. How to dose the repetitions of specific exercise in children? Really good questions. We will talk about this later on when we present, or when I'm talking about the programming. Yeah, I think you will have an answer if you stay tuned and see the slides that are coming up. Okay, so here are. I'm just reading. I try to read quickly to answer one or two questions more, and then we can move on.
Well, I've noted some. So just
right.
in relation to what you talked about with age, somebody asked, what about beginners? Because sometimes we have adults who are beginners. Can they start doing exercises to work on shot power?
They should, yes, of course. This is a really good question. You gotta, at least you got to protect your shoulder from this high loads, from these high forces that are occurring during a throw. If you ever just played with someone who's not into handball, they really quickly say, "Oh, my shoulder is it's not good for my shoulder to throw that much." So if a beginner, an adult beginner, starting playing handball, he should do some preparation for especially for the throws. This preparation will consist of general power, general strength, and some special strength exercises for the rotator cuff to protect the shoulder from these high loads. Yes, of course, you should do something. And you can see the exercises following, and maybe you know what to do.
Okay, there's just one. Let's just do one more. That maybe is a bit interesting. Some people have asked about the size of the player. I don't know if there's anything to consider here, because on the court, yes, they have to play a bit differently and their throw might be a bit different. Is there anything from your side that's notable?
Yeah, there's nothing special what short players should do different than big players in terms of strength training or athletic training in general. You know, they both need the same physical qualities to shoot hard and fast. So for both, it's important to have a certain grip strength, to have a certain strength in the rotator cuff and in the whole body, of course. The tactical or the technical part is, this would be a more interesting part when you compare a big player with a short player, but that's not something that has an impact directly on strength training. So both should be strong, both should work on throwing velocity, and yeah, maybe this is more technical part for handball trainers, if they detect that when they throw with a shorter angle or with a shorter lever, it's better for a short player. I don't know. So
Okay, let's continue.
all right, so we continue to the exercises, and before we have a look on some nice videos, I mentioned before that the basics, I'm a big fan of basics. Yeah, mastering the basics is very important before you move on to specializing or specific movements or specific exercises. So the basics in strength, they could be really simple. You don't need many exercises. So when it comes to raw strength, unfortunately, first it's not enough to just pull on a light rubber band. So when we are talking about strong shoulders, strong upper extremities, or in general the whole system to get stronger, it's not like I'm just pulling on a rubber band and preparing my shoulder for anything, especially not for these high loads that we see before. So we got to address the whole body, and we do it with big complex exercises like bench pressing, like squatting, like deadlifting, like standing row, and also with a strict press. And some might be concerned about pushing something overhead. If you don't have a shoulder injury, yeah, it's not a problem to press something overhead. And the opposite is it's good. It's good to strengthen the shoulder. It's good to strengthen the shoulder girdle, and also we have here this kinetic change. What I'm talking about before. You see, we have to transfer stability and also the energy from the ground up to my hands and back again. So this is a great exercise to involve the whole system and to strengthen the whole system. So if you're not injured, do strict press, do military press, of course. The basic exercises are an integral part of your program. Then you can move on and integrate the specific exercises that we are now talking about in the next slides. And this is the main part where you can pick some exercises for yourself and pick the exercises for your youth players and help to improve them. So the specific exercises, they are we talk about some key performance indicators before, and The specific exercises should target these key performance indicators. So when one of this was, I was talking about the follow through or the deceleration phase of the throw, and therefore it's very important to have some eccentric exercises. It's like learning to decelerate in order to accelerate. So I told before, the body will protect you. Yeah, it's in nature that the body never accelerates the arm faster than it can slow it down. So in other words, if you want to speed up, yeah, if you imagine you have a car, if you want to go fast, you need good brakes. So otherwise you won't go too fast. I hope so that you don't do it. The other one is grip strength. And there is a paper of Mia, and there's a high relation that we can see here. So grip strength is highly related to the ball velocity and also to movements like spinning the ball or doing fancy stuff with the ball. You need certain strength in the underarms, and we're going to see some exercises especially for that. And also we learned that trunk rotation is a big part of the key performance indicators, or especially the stability that you need for doing a powerful rotation, and also the stability that you need in the shoulder to execute the throw, and to also transfer the energy from the trunk to the arm. You need a good stable shoulder. And then, of course, we need power and speed. We got to improve the acceleration and then the integration of the throwing movement, the throwing motion. So these are our 4 key points or exercises which we should use to specific develop and improve our throwing ability, especially on a standing throw. So now we're going to move on to the videos, and I hope the quality of the videos is good, and I will stop the videos often and tell you something about, and will explain some of the exercises. So we start with eccentric. So you can see with that exercise, he's lowering down the weight and resisting with the back of his shoulder involved. There are many muscles involved in that, but especially the shoulder blade muscles, the infraspinatus, the supraspinatus, and some parts of the trapezius and neck muscles. All muscles that are involved here are also involved in deceleration after throwing, after the ball release. All right, we talk about pulling on rubber bands. So now you see someone pulling on rubber bands, but these are really, really high resistance rubber bands. And the guys here, you can see it, they are having a tough job concentrating on the eccentric phase. So they pull it up in a throwing position and then lowering down and resisting over a period of 5 seconds. Here also in this exercise again, there's a lot of muscles involved that are also involved in the throwing movement. You have the delta muscles, you have the trapezius, you have infraspinatus, supraspinatus, teres major. You have a lot of muscles that are also in charge to decelerate your arm. So these exercises that you see here, they are mostly for deceleration of the arm, the eccentric phase of the throwing motion. And now we move on to a little bit more dynamic eccentric exercises. Is drop and catch. You see he's working with a 1.5 kilogram ball. This is quite demanding. It doesn't sound that is much weight, but if you do it 2 sets with 5 to 8 reps, you will feel it in this muscle, in these areas. So here he's working with a 90-degree angle, so a short lever. He's working here with a long lever. I'm sorry. With a long lever. This is more demanding on the subscapularis, and also you got to stabilize over the erector spina, so the long back muscles. And this is also very demanding if you use a 1.5 kilogram. You can start with a lighter ball if you have young players. You can also use just the handball for that, but then you should have a progression, of course, because you want to get stronger in this area, and it's not enough just drop and catching the handball. You should use a weight ball. Good. Right, here they're doing it in together with the partner. He's throwing the ball, he's catching and decelerating the ball up to the middle of the torso. Lower now. So, but in this here, oh, sorry, back again. No, I'm sorry. Good. Yeah. While he's throwing the ball, you have a little bit more momentum, and it's a little bit more challenging to grasp the ball and to slow it down. And in this kneeling position, it's also kind of core exercise, because he should stay stable in the mid portion of the torso and just use his rotator cuff muscles to eccentric for this eccentric movement to decelerate the ball. Yeah. So this is just some examples of eccentric exercises, especially the dynamic ones are really good to use, and we have a good experience with that. Also after an injury, when you have a return to movement, return to sports process, you can involve this exercise in the last stage before you get back to court and play there, because it's very, very important. I cannot say, or I can't say it often enough. It's very important that your decelerating muscles are strong and are able to hold the arm in the position and hold the joints in the right positions, because otherwise the joints will knock together, and sooner or later you will have an overuse injury, or you will have a tear of the muscles there. All right, so we move on to the next exercises. As you can remember, we have on point 2, we have the grip strength exercises, and these are very cool ones, especially the first exercise. I like it a lot. Oh, sorry. Next one. Yeah. So, very, very simple, very, very effective. You take a bucket, just a big bucket, and put in rise. You can yeah, in the rice, maybe you put some chalk in it, because otherwise the rice is really sticky after a while. Just to let you know, but this is, as I mentioned before, a really good and high effective exercise for building grip strength and underarm strength. Just, opala. I'm sorry about that, but my laptop is fooling around with me. Dive into the rise and knead the rise as hard as you can. If you do that for 20 to 30 seconds, you saw that it's kneading the rise. This is so hard. If you do that for 20-30 seconds, your underarms will almost explode. They're so, the pump in the underarms is unbelievable. So this is a exercise I like a lot, really. Then underarm curls. Okay, this is the so-called fat grip. This is a rubber grip which you can attach to your dumbbells or to your barbells, and you have a bigger grip, so the hand is more open up, and this requires more tension in the underarms to hold the dumbbell or to hold the barbell. It's really demanding if you do any kind of exercises with that fat grips, also pulling stuff, or just a very simple curl or whatever movement. So putting around this one will be challenging more the underarms. You can do it in a pronated form, or you can also do it in a supinated form. You will see it after this exercise. And now to the end, you can see this is an exercise which you can do anywhere. You don't need a gym for that. Just putting around a rubber band around the ball, and you can also do the in a supinated or in a pronated way. You can work on your underarm or on your forearm muscles. All right, these are the exercises for the grip strength. Please notice when you're training your grip strength, don't do it before you have your routine strength training, because when your underarms are fatigued, you won't be able to hold the dumbbells or the barbells properly. So best is to do it after the main parts, as you will see in the programming. All right, so let's move on to core stability and shoulder stability. Very common exercise, the landmine. So, and yeah, everybody knows this exercise, and maybe do it. But what's a really important thing here to see is that your feet should stand both on the ground and don't rotate to the inside. I often see that. We talked about this. That we want to transfer the energy from the ground through the whole body to the arms, to the elbows, through the hand. And if we want to have a stable and good stance, then we should hold our feet on the ground. You see here, he is doing explosive. So he's letting down and then comes up explosive. You can do it in this form, or you can also do it continuous. So from the one side to the next side. But my experience is that this is more close to the rapid whole body movement that you need for throwing or for other actions, and therefore I recommend to do it explosively, and also here to have a progression with the weights. All right, so this is also a very challenging exercise, and you see here you have like a bow. Yeah, this bow of tension that goes through your whole body, in this case to my knees here. And this is also what you need when you are accelerating the ball. Yeah, you have a stable core, your arms move. But yeah, this is a good exercise to build up strength in your, especially in your core. Okay, this is here resisting rotation, so it's an anti-rotational exercise. What is special with that is that she normally I like to do it with eyes closed. She has her eyes open, but she got to rapidly contract her muscles in the core, in the trunk, in the whole body, because she's giving short impulse to the rubber band, to the band. And this is also what you have when you do now a very quick movement to accelerate the ball to do a throwing movement, especially from the standing position, when you do a standing throw and you are very close to the defense and you want to accelerate the ball very quickly. It's crucial that you are able to also contract the whole core and trunk muscles very quickly. And as you can see here, this is a good. You can do it in different stance, and this is more challenging when you have a split stance, for example, or you can do it in other forms. The main target is the same. The main goal is the same, to rapidly contract the mid portion of your torso and therefore generate this transfer power to the arms. Short question to Thorsten. My picture is frozen. Myself is frozen. I'm hopefully for the audience, is everything okay?
It seems to be frozen, I think. Do we want to try to switch to Torsten sharing?
No, if as long as the videos are running and as long as the audience can hear me, is everything okay for me. But this is just my screen is I see myself frozen. So
yeah, you are frozen, but if you're okay, then it's okay.
No, for me it's okay. We can go on then. All right, so let's go on. We have this exercise. I like a lot exercises, stability exercises that are in the upright position, because this is the position that we play, and not in a lying position. We have a lot of stability things that we know with planking and stuff like that, but I prefer this one because we gotta transfer power and we got to transfer stability from a stable ground through the whole body in an upright position and not in a lying position. Okay, here you see she has the eyes closed. This is what I prefer, also for the exercises that we saw before, because she doesn't know from which side the tension comes, and has also to stabilize very quickly the core area. And in this case, she has the arms overhead, so the lever is really long and it's quite demanding to stabilize it from the mid part of the body. And here she's kneeling. The reason why she's kneeling is because if she's standing, the other girl here will pull too much to the ground. So this is not what we want. We want to have a almost horizontal pulling action. All right. Here we see an exercise with a water bag. I like this tool a lot because it gives instability from the upper extremities or the upper part of the body, and this is actually what we need. You see people standing on unstable surfaces or doing things on unstable surfaces. The thing is, in reality, when we play handball, we stay on a stable ground. So we have to stabilize from a stable ground to the upper extremities, and you have the disturbances. They are 99.9% always from the upper part of the body. If you know, there are pulling actions, there are pushing actions. If you do a quick movement, you got to stabilize the upper extremities while you are staying or you're standing on a stable ground. So focus more on disturbances and perturbance on the upper extremities. This is more more real world stability, I will say. He's stabilizing cross body. This water bag is weighs maybe 15 to 20 kilograms. And because the water is moving inside, it's very challenging to stay stable in the mid part of the body. It's a really nice exercise. You can see this video is a little bit older, but old but gold, I would say. This is a player holding 10 kilogram dumbbells in his arms, and his job is to stabilize while he's getting pushes and pulls and perturbance from me while he's walking. So the main goal is that he stabilize his shoulders and hold the dumbbells overhead. So he does a really good job, and that's while it looks easy, but believe me, it's not easy. It's quite demanding. You can try it. So there, when you try things like that, even if you do it with young players, just start with a light weight and then have a progression. Okay, don't start with too heavy weights. First, focus on quality. So here, really good exercise to build stability in the shoulder girdle. He's giving, disturbances from all sides, and his job is just to stabilize in this position. And this is quite a tough job to stabilize in this position. You have to keep tension all the time, and the goal of this, or the good thing in this exercise is he learns to contract really fast on a stimulus. He has a really short stimulus, and the body and the muscles around the shoulder react directly, and therefore protects the shoulder directly. Same in another position. All right. So, and now we move on to the last video. So power and speed, and in this video, this is the part where we integrate also the throwing movement. So you will see at the end. This is a really good exercise to build reactive strength, but you have to be careful with this one. The player, if you implement an exercise like this, should be really good warmed up, so he should be activated before and does some throws with a lighter ball, and then you can place him on a box or whatever, and I drop the ball now. He will catch it and directly build a reactive action and throw the ball against the wall. Okay. Here, oh, this is stopped perfectly. Here you see he's slamming the ball into the ground, and for that he also needs to activate this whole kinetic chain. Of course, for any exercise, especially for that power and speed exercise, it's crucial to tell the players that they should work with the highest quality and the highest intention they have. So if they just throwing the ball with 70% of their max, it won't help to improve. So when they do actions like this, tell them they should throw or slam the ball through the ground. They should land in a cellar or wherever. So, or they should throw the ball through the wall. This is very important that the focus and the intention is really high. Oh, sorry. You can do 1 or 2 reps less, but keep the quality very high. This is the overhead throw, overarm throw with a medicine ball with a slow run up, and in the next we will see a fast run up.
Noch ein, mach 3 Stück.
He did it with a 3 kilogram medicine ball. This is and this is a very strong player that we have here. So I will recommend when you start with that, it will be enough a 1.5 or 2 kilogram ball.
Stück.
So now this is the most specific exercises to the throw, and I will explain quickly why we do it kneeling and why we do it in that way. So the kneeling position leads to a more higher activation of the muscles of the arm, of the shoulder girdle, of the rotator cuff, because he's not throwing through a whole movement of the body. It's more isolated to the arm. Therefore, we use this position, and we start with a just concentric throwings. So we want him to speed up as quick as possible from this short lever position and without a big counter movement. So this is when you don't have enough time to do a big counter movement action. So it's sometimes very good if you can speed up the ball just by concentric, or just concentric speeding up. So it's like you make a feint that you want to pass the ball to someone else, and then you just shoot the ball from this position then.
Gut.
Okay, this backward throws, we do it because the player should learn to also do the counter movement very quick. So this is the reason why he's throwing the ball backwards. He should learn also to explosively do the external rotation of the movement. So from this point, this backwards, the rotation, the external rotation should be also very quick, very explosive, in order to accelerate forwards to do the internal rotation. And then in the next, we bring it together.
Gut.
So here you have the counter movement. So he's doing the external rotation, the internal rotation, and he's doing it with a 90-degree angle. Here he's doing it with a long lever. Now he's using a long lever and just doing an underarm side throw, also with not a lot of counter movement. So, and these are the last exercises before that are more isolated, and everything what comes after this should be the real world standing throw. So put it on the court, bring it to the court, and if you performed this exercise before, you should be able to shoot a little bit harder or much more harder, and protect your shoulder. So now we saw a lot of exercises, and now is the question how we can implement these exercises in programs. First, we gotta ask ourselves in which part of the long season or of the preparation of the preseason should we implement which kind of exercises. So an example of how you can plan the exercises is here, and because the eccentric training causes the greatest muscle fatigue, it should be more extensive in the preseason. You see here it's percentages. It's a percentage of 35 for the eccentrics in the preseason. If we start with the preparation, we're gonna go a little bit down with the volume, because we don't want to have too much fatigue in the arms, too much fatigue in the muscle that are important for deceleration, because in the preparation you will have lot more of handball training, and your arm should be fresh for that. So we see that power and speed should be emphasized in the late preparation or in the in-season, but be careful also with that. As I mentioned before, quality over quantity. It's not important that you do high volume of throws and power and speed exercises. It's more important that you have good intensity and a good quality on this. So next slide is very simple to understand. It's just the progressions that you do in the mesocycles. So this will be the mesocycle 1, 2, and 3, and this is the whole microcycle. And now we go into the mesocycles just to see the intensity. So here, classically, I use the percentages, but you can also use RPEs. So on a scale from 1 to 10, when 10 is the highest and 1 the lowest, you can also say, okay, here you should work, or your athletes should work with the RPE of 6 to 7. This is what they, this is the rate of perceived exertion. So it's how they feel about the intensity of the training. So, but anyway, it's difficult for these small exercises that we saw before to recommend a special load, because we don't do 1 repetition maximum tests on underarm curls or on kneading rice, you know. So therefore, it's a little bit more subjective that you give your athletes recommendation, like, okay, in the second week or in the second mesocycle, you should go up with the intensity, and you should, on a scale from 1 to 10, you should feel a 7 or something like this. Or if they have a good feeling for percentages, then you tell them how the percentages will be. So, but this here is in combination with hypertrophy training, and when we see the program, it could look like this, and this is how you can plan a workout or design a workout. So you have the first thing is a warm-up, a good warm-up. In our case, in the German Handball Federation, we have something that is called MAPS. These are 4 chapters of warming up. This is the mobilizing, activation, potentiation, and then specification. Specification is the part where we start with handball specific things like throwing routines and things like that. And in the mobilizing part, we mobilize the system, then we activate, and we have this one for the shoulder. We have also one for the knee and one general. But this is the warm-up routine that we implement when we warm up for handball training and also for strength training. So especially in strength training, we use the first 2, the M and the A, the mobility and the activation. And then we move on to the power and speed exercises. And this is the part where you can implement something like the medicine ball throws, something like the throws that you see at the end. You can also implement here Olympic lifts. I didn't show the Olympic lifts because it's not specific enough now for this topic. But this will be the part where you can implement power and speed exercises. Here you have a good neuromuscular status to execute the exercises properly and good. And then you have the main part. Here you pick you pick 2 or 3 exercises from the basic strength exercise, from the big complex exercises, and these are executed in this case here with 80% and with 6 to 8 reps. This is here an example for the mesocycle 2, week 3. Go back, you can see where it is. This is here, this part before the deload. Okay, so this is the program for workout 1, workout 2. You pick in the main part, you pick the big exercises for building general strength, for building whole body strength. And then you can pick your specific exercises in the assistance part. And here implement the eccentrics. Take 2 or 3 exercises. You can change them week by week. Yeah, or you can stick with 2 or 3 special exercises which you figured out they work best for you or for your athletes, and you increase the intensity by increasing load or by increasing repetitions or by increasing time. So, for example, if you have the grip strength exercises in kneading the rice in the bucket, I would recommend you to increase the time that you're kneading the rice. Other example for load is the eccentrics. If you do the eccentrics, I wouldn't increase the repetitions. I would more increase the weight that I use to do this eccentric exercise. And shoulder stability, also you can here increase the repetitions. For example, if you have the stability where he's disturbing, where you're holding the ball and in the half kneeling position, and the other one is disturbing, so he should disturbing or the frequency of the impulses should be rise up from 20 to 30 or yeah, something like that. So you have many options to do a progression, but the main fact is that you should do a progression. Otherwise, you won't adapt to higher loads or to more yeah, to more demanding situations. So in the end, this is a experience that I have. You have athletes, they have the individual exercise, especially when you work with older athletes. Older, I mean everything above 20 years. They have some yeah, signature exercises that they like to do mostly, and I don't regret to let them the space to do that. So they should do it if it's good for them, if it's good for their feelings. Even if I think there are other exercises that are better, but you know, I have this big part before where they're doing that stuff that I want them to do, and in the end they can do individual exercises. It's like yeah, giving them something for doing that before. All right. So now we have take-home message for you, and then I hope that you have some questions which I can answer. So what should I know? First thing is a certain level of general strength is required to shoot fast and hard. So therefore, master the basics. Before you move on to fancy and specific stuff, just master the basics, please. The trunk is almost 50% responsible for the ball velocity. So that means that we should have a focus on core stability and trunk strength. Maximal hand grip strength is highly related to ball velocity. So this is a good take-home message. Maybe we can work more on that. If you want to speed up, then you need good brakes. So that means eccentric exercises can protect your shoulder from high tensile forces, but also unfold extra power. So if you have good brakes, your body knows the arm can be decelerated properly. The acceleration will be, yeah, the potential of the acceleration will be unleashed. So, and throwing cannot be replaced by any fancy gym exercises. So think about that when you see your athletes throwing dumbbells or throwing cables in the gym. as I mentioned before, as closer we come to the specific movement, as bigger are the interferences. So focus more on building strength around the throw or building good conditions and transfer it to the court. So a proper planning, we see at the end, is crucial and should be progressive. And the most important message is put more power into your system and bring it to the court. All right, then now we have some time for question and answer.
Okay. So let's address some things related to programming first. Well, I suppose you kind of answered this, but well, people just asked what proportion of total training time should be spent on building solid basic strength.
What proportion of total time on solid basic strength? 75%. This is really the most important. You know, I have like a rule. This is this is why the reason why I say 75. This is the 75-25 rule. So 75% of my training routine is really basic and really building strengths, or if we do other stuff, building focusing on speed. But 25% is reserved for the for, I say, specific exercise or special exercises. Sometimes it's depending on the position. Sometimes it's depending on what I want to improve. If I have a coach that says, okay, I have 2 or 3 players, they gotta improve the throwing velocity. The 25% is my space to put the exercises they need to improve that. But improving general strength, improving maximum strength has a big impact on many on many performance related movements.
Mm-hmm. And what about if we include on-court time? What if we include on-court normal training time? What is the proportion then?
The proportion for the specific exercises that we should spend on when we are in a court.
No, like if we take into account their training with their coach on the court, like on their the normal on-court training.
If you want to develop general strength, so you got to have a certain stimulus, or you have to give the body a certain stimulus to adapt to something. If you just have a half hour in a week for strength training, I can tell you that there will not happen a lot, or not happen anything. So if you have like 5 or 6 training sessions in a week, 2 of them at least should be, especially when you have young players, when you are working with youth and junior, at least 2 sessions should be strength sessions. So at least it's better if you have more time.
We have some more questions about children.
Yeah.
Somebody asked that they said they're a trainer for children under the age of 10. So what kind of weights should these children be doing?
First of all, they of course they can use their body weight, but it's also sometimes the people are scared about to see children with weights in their hands, and this is a thing. This is just looking weird. It is not in reality. You know, if my 5-year-old son is pulling up a stone or pushing something away, this is sometimes much more weight what I would expect. So the other example is when you say to children, do some push-ups. This is sometimes more demanding to do the push-ups with their own body weight. If I lay them on a bank and I say on a bench and I say, come do it with some light dumbbells. So it's not that challenging like doing an awful push-up on the ground. So yes, the weights should be tolerated by the kids. The form of the exercise should look almost okay. It don't need to be perfect because they are learning. They are also learning how to coordinate some loads or weights. But I think this you will have a great benefit if you start early with that.
Okay, but then somebody asked, how do you decide the schedule for children to do this kind of like, so in a week, if you're working with young children, would you also apply like a lot of strength training or? Yeah.
So it's true, and there is also scientific research that young children have a great benefit out of strength training. So and therefore I would implement it as an integral part of physical development, and I would put at least two sessions in a week, and the sessions would be on Monday and Thursday. They have 2 days rest from strength training. Or if these are very young kids, you know, you can implement it in the training in the training hall. So if they have a handball session, you can do a circuit, and you can give them different exercises which they can like playing, implement in a circle, and keep them motivated by doing some playing stuff in the middle part. It's difficult to explain for me, but if you have two strength exercises in a circle, you can do the one exercise, you have a short break. In the short break, they do something what's good for the brain, some cognitive things like doing something with the ball, and then they move on to the next station. And so you have your break that you need for the exercises, and you have something in the middle part where they can also develop more cognitive capacities.
That relates to another question, actually. Somebody asked, do you, let's talk with adults now, do you ever do strength work on the court when they're also doing shooting? Do you ever combine those?
Yes, you can do it. This is sometimes, first, the players should be familiar with that. And you should really think about what kind of strength training do you do when you combine both. Because when I do something like a hypertrophic training, which is very demanding and leads to a high fatigue of the muscles, I wouldn't combine it with shooting training, because then you have the muscles cannot fire properly enough to protect the shoulder and to really have a high quality throw. It would be other stuff if I use very low repetitions, so just 1 or 2 or 3 repetitions with a high intensity. This is more a kind of post-activation principle. So I put an activation of the muscle with a high load, and then I unleash this activation by throwing the ball. This is a contrast complex method, so to say, which you can use, and this is common. I know a lot of teams doing that. Yeah.
Okay. Somebody asked, what if they don't have access to all these materials you showed? What are some solutions if they don't have access to medicine balls or?
All right. tough question. Yeah, of course. You know, sometimes we have situations like that if we are in a hall which is not mentioned for training. It's more mentioned for events or other things. You don't have this equipment in this hall. So and there you can also work really good with the own body weight. So for example, if you want to put on a high load on your shoulders, on your whole system, and stabilize through the kinetic change that we mentioned before, just a simple handstand is really doing a lot of good things to your body. So think about this, or if you do a bear crawl where you have to stabilize also your shoulder. There are many exercises what you can do without any equipment.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, yeah. I like one exercise. Maybe I like the IYTW. This is just lying on your belly and pulling up your arms, holding tension on your shoulder blades, and you just write an I and Y and T and W, and yeah, holding the tension in your shoulders and your shoulder blades. But this is just for activation, you know. If you really want to build rock solid shoulders, I guess you need some extra weights and stuff.
Yeah. We'll just have one more question. Somebody asked, is there any difference between men and women in what you've talked about? Do you have any different considerations between them? And if the answer is yes, then why?
No, I don't have. I know this is a very big topic, but why should women train in another style or another way than men? Just because they're women? I don't get this point, you know. It's of course, women cannot produce that force or that strength that a man can produce. This is because we have more hormones. Our body is a little bit, the constitution is a little bit different from a woman. But also we know that the women can also adapt really high to resistance training and have all the positive adaptations. This is universal, you know. This is not. No, I wouldn't separate training methods. I just would. You know, the intensities will be individual. So I would recommend the man to train, for example, with 80% of his one repetition maximum. I also would recommend the women to train with 80% of their repetition maximum on some exercises. But of course, the 80% of the women will be much lower or much less than of the men. Maybe she's stronger than you know. If you see weightlifters, yeah, this is all what I can say. If you see weightlifters, they're so strong, and the women there are also so strong. So why they don't train in another way than men do it?
Okay, I think we will end it there. We're a few minutes past time. Thank you so much, David. We've got a lot of comments from people saying it's very useful. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. Our next lecture is next Thursday, the 1st of July at 2 p.m. Central European Summer Time. And that is with the IHF Commission for Coaching and Methods member, Paul Landure, focusing on the quick and right decisions of the attacker. So we will see you all then. Thank you again, David, and goodbye, everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Courtney. Thank you very much to the audience, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye.